Hey everyone, David Shapiro here with another video. Today we're going to be doing ChatGPT for writing fiction, specifically writing long-form fiction like novels. Obviously this is a practice that takes a while, so in this first video I'm hoping to just get to a solid outline and then we'll call it a day. Before we get started though, I wanted to explain that I have monetized some of my YouTube videos. People are getting a lot of value out of them. And I want to take the ads out, but I was not able to get my Patreon goals met. So my goal is to get to $4,000 a month so that I can pay all of my bills, have health insurance, that sort of thing. And then I can permanently demonetize all of my videos. That is my goal. Now, if people would prefer ads, we can do that. I don't really care one way or another, but it would be good if we can do it this way. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about writing stories. So this is something that I have spent a tremendous amount of time on personally. Writing is one of my top hobbies, and it's how I met my now fiance. And so, in fact, one of the things that attracted a lot of people to my channel was using these language models to write fiction. And in point of fact, ChatGPT completely changed some of my plans around my AutoMuse suite of tools. Because of that, like I'm not going to try and compete with ChatGPT. Why bother, right? I'm going to do something else. In the meantime, let me show you how to think about this tool so that you can write fiction, long form fiction. Anyone can do it, but you got to know about like writing a story. So I have the advantage of I had a premise already in mind. So the premise that I had in mind was that I wanted to write a story from the POV of a courtesan during the golden age of Rome. And I wanted it to be like a palace intrigue kind of story. But also the golden age of Rome, or the height of the Roman power. There's a huge amount of stories that can be told in that. You know, there's whether it's Augustus or Caesar in Gaul, or whatever's going on in Egypt, or the revolt of the Jews, or whatever. There's all kinds of cool stuff. So the way that I like to start these kinds of conversations is you just tell it what you're doing. So you say, hey, I'm writing a novel. I need your help. I found that if you're polite, it copies your tone. So if you're very thorough and polite, it tends to be more helpful. If you just give it like flat instructions, it's usually willing to help as well. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with being polite to the machine. It also feels good to be polite. I'm writing a novel and I need your help. This is a palace intrigue slash historical fiction slash adventure set during the golden age of the Roman Empire. It follows a courtesan. So help me brainstorm this story. The goal today is to get a very solid outline. So if you tell it what your goal is, it's like, sure, let's do that. What questions do you have? So if you tell it, if you finalize it with saying that ask me questions, this is where the power of a dialogue comes in, because you might be making assumptions in your mind that are not going to translate. So let's see. It says, sure, I'm happy to help brainstorm ideas for your novel. To get started, can you give me some more information about the courtesan and her role in the story? What is her goal or motivation? Do you have any specific historical events or figures that you would like to incorporate? These are phenomenal questions. Okay. Great questions. And I'm saying this as I'm not I guess I am a semi-pro writer. I have made some money from writing fiction. But I'm also just a very passionate writer, and a good chunk, like more than half of my friends are writers. That's like my social life. The other half is all AI people. Okay, great questions. So, well, I really wanted to have a close, visceral experience of the Roman world during its height. For instance, I really love the intrigue of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I also really loved the book Cushil's Dart. And if you know what Cushil's Dart is, you know that it's a very spicy story. We're not going to go that spicy. At least, well, ChatGPT will get mad at me if I try and go that spicy. We're gonna toe the line. No, I'm not going to get demonetized over that. So we'll just leave it at that. So that's the kind of story I want to tell. I'll need help fleshing out the characters. So for some reference, the reason that I have some of this knowledge already is because I was using my own tools, AutoMuse tools, while I was brainstorming this. Those are still being built, but they've been kind of put on the back burner. We'll get to that later, but the tools are coming. I'll need help fleshing out the characters, backstories, motivations, goals. Now, in terms of historical events or characters, I was thinking maybe Augustus or Hadrian or some of the 5 good emperors. Basically, I want a setting that is that allows for anything to go. Celebrations, opulence, battles, piracy, etc. Make sense? All right, so let's see what ChatGPT says. Yes, I understand what you're looking for. It sounds like you want to create a sweeping epic story set during the height of the Roman Empire with a courtesan as the main character. To help flesh out the story and characters, we could start by brainstorming some ideas for the courtesan's background and motivations. For example, what was her life like before she became a courtesan? What led her to that profession, and what are her goals within it? Does she have any personal or professional relationships? Let's see, in terms of historical events, the reigns of Augustus and Hadrian would provide a rich backdrop, as they were both significant figures, and their rule coincided with a time of prosperity and expansion. Including events could add to the historical reality. Okay, cool. Is there anything specific you would like to include? Okay, great. So first, let's brainstorm the MC. MC is shorthand for main character. During another brainstorming session, one idea was that she was a slave seeking liberation, but I'm not sure if that works. Another idea was that she was from a lower family. Maybe, I guess, maybe a patrician, maybe a poor patrician family. Don't remember if the patricians were still around. So maybe let's brainstorm some around that. Can you give me some more ideas? So one thing with ChatGPT is you have to be very specific about what you ask for. Whereas interacting with a human, there's a lot of, based on my recent interview with Anna Bernstein, which she pointed out that like with a human, there's an implied intent. With the machine, you have to be very explicit. Okay, perhaps she was born into a poor patrician family and was struggling to make ends meet. She was forced to leave home at a young age, make her way in the world. She may have turned to courtesan work to earn a living. And her goal may be beauty, charm, gain the favor of powerful men and women. Alternatively, she could have grown up in a wealthy family, but fallen on hard times due to financial mismanagement, political scheming. Ooh, that's good. That's some good intrigue. Oh yeah, I like that. And so here's where like just asking it to give me ideas, and then I pay attention to what resonates with me, and so then it follows my lead. Another possibility was orphaned and had to make her way on the streets. That's not quite as interesting, like a rags to riches thing, but since I want to do a palace intrigue, this middle one looks good. Yeah, I like that middle one of somewhat fallen fortunes. That's very consistent with um, palace intrigue, uh, and also sets her up with a strong motivation for revenge and justice and getting back to her, um, what's the word? Desired, not desired, deserved station. Um, okay, so that's a powerful through line. Let's now think about the theme of this story, the universal truth. Can you help me workshop that now? So I want to pause and point out that, like, okay, how do you, as the person following along, know what to do? So I am following uh, kind of my personal pattern of when I'm coming up with a new story. So you start with a premise. So premise is usually just the setting and the main character. That's like, oh, I've got this great idea for a story. So setting and main character. Then you develop that main character and explore their interaction with the setting, because there's three pillars of writing fiction, and that is plot, setting, and character. We'll get to plot in a little while. Hopefully that's where we'll end today. But setting and character, so character is the human, and then the setting is the world that they're in, and those are intrinsically intertwined. And then the thing that guides the whole story, the purpose of the story, is like the beacon on the hill or the lighthouse that you're heading towards. That is theme. And so theme is the universal truth, the universal lesson that is in it. And so in popular fiction lately, you might have remembered this, it was vaguely popular movie called Avengers Endgame, where this big purple dude named Thanos wants to erase half of life in the universe. So the theme there is the arbitrariness of catastrophe, right? Storms will just kill at random, plagues will kill at random, volcanoes will kill at random. Thanos represents that the cataclysm, right? He is the death blight of just our existence. And so let's see what it says. So because we have to figure out the theme, like, why is it that I wanted to set this at the golden age of Rome and of these somewhat fallen fortunes? So let's see if we can let's see if we can pull a theme out that is going to be the guiding force or the guiding energy of this story. Okay, so to identify the theme, it might be helpful to think about the central message or lesson you want your readers to take. Well, duh, that's what I'm asking. What is the main character struggling with, and how does she overcome? What does the main character learn about herself and the world as the story progresses? What is the story saying about human nature or the human condition? Answering these questions can help you identify the underlying ideas or principles. Okay, sure. For example, the main character is struggling with the challenges of living in a rigid hierarchical society. Oh, here we go. We're getting into the good stuff here. Ultimately, able to find her place in it. The theme of the story might be something like finding one's own path in life, or the power of self-determination. On the other hand, if the main character is struggling with issues of identity or belonging, the theme might be something like the search for one's true self or the importance of community. Okay, so what this is implying here is that a character's arc, their personal journey, is what exemplifies and carries the theme. And so you can often look at theme as this is not always true. But one of the easiest ways to do theme is, what is it that they learn? What is it that they overcome along the way? Now, you can have a theme that does not directly impact a character's arc, and that the theme is actually in the setting. So a good example of that is that one of the overarching themes in The Witcher, the Netflix show, is one of nihilism, and that is that everything is pointless. And that is put in the world, the setting, where the setting punishes people for having hope, because that is the opposite of nihilism, right? And so Geralt then is a reflection of the world that he lives in, but he kind of has a flat character arc, because he's just, I know what the world is like, and it's an awful place, and I'm not going to fight it. But his personal truth is that you can't fight destiny. So you can have multiple themes. Okay, great. So it's framing it. We're getting there, but let's do this a little bit more. Because one of the things that I don't like about ChatGPT is that sometimes it'll just kind of tell you how to approach a problem rather than solving the problem. Now, this is okay because sometimes just knowing what to do is important, but sometimes I'm just like, no, just solve the problem for me. So I'll say, let's think through this. Let's think through this. Let's see. The setting is the apogee of the Roman Empire. What does that tell people? There's an abundance of wealth and power and possibility. So that feels important. And then the MC has lost her station but wants it back. So again, what does this say about humanity or universal truths? Can you help me articulate this theme? Let's see what it says. The setting of your story during the height of the Roman Empire suggests a time of great prosperity and opportunity, but also a time of strict social hierarchy and rigid rules of behavior. This could be seen as a metaphor for the larger human experience where opportunities and limitations are often determined by factors such as birth, wealth, and status, and gender. The main character's struggle to regain her former status and place in society could be seen as a reflection of the human desire for recognition and respect. Ooh, okay. And the lengths that people will go to in order to achieve their goals. This could lead to a theme of the pursuit of power and success or the cost of ambition. Alternatively, the main character's journey could be seen as a commentary on the capriciousness of fate. Ouch. So capriciousness is mercurial emotions. That's what capricious means, is when something is very fickle. So the capriciousness of fate and the dangers of relying on external factors for one's sense of worth and identity. In this case, the theme could be something like the fragility of success or the importance of self-acceptance. I hope these ideas give you inspiration. So this is actually zeroing in on what we had worked on before ChatGPT. So let's do both, actually. Let's have her pursue power and status, and then when she gets it, she realizes that she's alone, hunted, and empty. So then she must make a choice to let it all go and pursue genuine human connection. I think this will parallel today's zeitgeist of quiet quitting and reclaiming our lives. What do you think? Okay, it says, I think that could be a powerful and resonant theme for your story, having the main character initially pursue power and status only to eventually realize the emptiness and isolation that comes with it. Could be a compelling arc that reflects the idea of the cost of ambition. This could be a great way to explore the theme of the importance of genuine human connection and the dangers of relying on external markers of success for one's sense of worth and fulfillment. To further develop, now it's suggesting stuff. To further develop this theme, you might consider exploring the main character's journey from striving for external validation to finding a sense of purpose and meaning within herself. This could involve showing her struggles with feelings of inadequacy or loneliness, as well as moments of self-discovery and connection that help her to see the value of her own worth and relationships. Yes, this is great. I think we need to break this into a duology. The first book will be called Ascension or something grandiose like that. And the second book could be called Descent or something. And so I really like this, and I'm totally going to finish this. And you guys are going to go on this journey with me, as however long it takes. Because this is a story I've wanted to write for a while, but it's like, I don't even know where to begin. because it's also because it's a historical fiction. There's a lot of research that you need to do in order to keep it accurate. So like we haven't even explored dates and times of like Augustus or Marcus Aurelius or Hadrian. So we'll figure that out in a minute because we do have to flesh out the setting. Okay, that's all nice and solid. Now let's let's summarize everything we've got up to this point. Please write a detailed summary of the story so far. So you want to do this every now and then because, especially when you're doing long form fiction, it does ChatGPT does have a limited memory. So you want to kind of like, okay, let's stop, let's circle the wagons, let's figure out exactly what's going on. And see, it got one thing wrong where it says poor patrician family. Um, so we actually want to say that she started as a with a as a in a powerful family. Through her beauty, charm, and wit, the main character is able to gain the favor of powerful men and women, and she rises to position of influence. However, as she becomes more successful, she begins to realize the emptiness and isolation. Yep, she must ultimately make a choice between her ambition and genuine human connection. The first book, titled Ascension, follows the character's rise to power. The second book, Descent, explores her journey from striving for external validation to finding a sense of purpose and meaning with herself as she grapples with the choices she has made and the consequences from them. Excellent. We just need to change one detail. She starts, or she was born to a powerful, and so this is where I thought something and said something but didn't tell it. She was born to a powerful and wealthy family, but her family was dispossessed due to betrayal and palace intrigue. Can you update the summary based on this info? Excuse me. Certainly, here's an updated summary. And so by getting it to restate it, we can then see how the machine understands the story. And this is the same thing as what we do with humans, which is called reflective listening. So I am asking it to reflect back to me what it understands that I want. So using reflective listening with ChatGPT is a really powerful technique. I'm going to do a quick time check because, oh wow, we're already 22 minutes in. I want to keep these videos reasonable. So we've got like the main through line. We've got a little bit of the setting. So let's try and get a little bit further with the setting, and then let's start trying to outline a plot. Great. Let's flesh out the setting now. Can you help me figure out when exactly to set this story? When do you think the Roman Empire hit its absolute peak? Trajan. Okay. Trajan was an effective ruler and popular ruler, and he ruled for almost 20 years. Okay, so that's a good period of time. Um, so Augustus was earlier. Hadrian came after. Oh, let's do Hadrian. Let's do Trajan to Hadrian. So her life takes place during the entirety of these guys. Okay, great. Let's set this so that her birth coincides with the ascension of Trajan. Um, so so she's partly marked. The Romans were very superstitious, um, as being tied to the fate of the emperor. So then, so then her life goes. So then her character arc follows Rome through its absolute peak and the beginning of the decline. So her choices mirror that of Rome. Okay, with this in mind, can you list all the major events and people and well, I get yeah, events and people that we should think about from let's see, 98 AD to 138 AD. Um, this will help us figure out plot beats later. Okay, certainly, here are some of the major events and people from the period of 98 AD to 138 AD. So this is her 40-year life, basically. Um, and then we can have, because, during Roman times, Roman matrons tended to live a lot longer than Roman men, mostly due to conflict, but not always, because you also had much shorter life expectancies of women in general due to death during childbirth. But once a woman made it past childbearing years, their life expectancy was pretty similar to that of today, with the exception of like things like plagues happening. Okay, Antonine Wall, the Bar Kokhba revolt, the Jewish rebellion. Ah, yeah, there's that one. Takes place in Palestine. Because one of the things that I thought of is if she's a courtesan, then maybe she's attached to very powerful people and goes all over the Roman world, which could be really interesting. Yep. Okay. So this is the Roman Parthian Wars. So that's way out east, which is now Iran. So there's lots of horses and stuff. So because Kushiel's legacy is one of my favorite stories, I'm thinking about like what if she goes on these adventures to like save the empire or something, and this is how she gets powerful, and then she starts touring with Hadrian or something. I really like this actually. Okay, so these are just a few examples. Let's focus on her earlier life for a minute. She would have been about 12 during 110 AD. What happened around then? Anything political or economic that we can base the fall of her family on? Okay, so it says like I don't know what's happening in your character's life. Um, okay, so it's confused. I'm actually asking for um, real events. So I'm going to do a quick refresh. This is a trick that I have. You can interrupt it with a solid refresh, and then you can go and regenerate it. I'm like, no, 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 let's not do that. Um, okay, what was happening in Rome around 110 AD? Um, I am mostly curious about political and economic events in and around the imperial city. So, OpenAI, if you're watching, please add a cancel button because you don't want the conversation to be polluted. In fact, if we could go back and delete the bad messages and clean it up as we go, so if we can flag something to say remove this from the conversation, that would be fantastic. Okay, during the period around one was enjoying a time of relative peace and prosperity. Trajan was an effective and popular ruler. There was likely a great deal of political and economical activity. Um, let's see, many public works. Okay, the expansion of the city's aqueduct system. Oh, okay, sure, let's go with that. Sure, let's go with that. Let's say the MC's family was involved in these major works. They were sponsoring and organizing big projects, but wealthier, wealthier or more well-connected family wanted in because they were very lucrative and highly coveted projects. Um, so let's imagine that her family's fall from grace was was part of that scheme. Um, let's go ahead and name these families and people. Can you recommend some uh, clan names and given names for our characters? Um, we need at least the MC, her family name, and then the rival faction name. Certainly, here are a few suggestions for clan names and given names you might use. Clan names: Claudius. This was a common clan name in ancient Rome, and it was associated with several influential families. Flavius. This was another one. Aurelius. So the Claudians and the Flavians, these are, I don't want to be necessarily that on the nose. Um, and I'm not going to name her Marcus. We need a female's name, but Valerius or Aurelius or I mean, yeah, these are good. Um, do. Okay, what about women's names? Remember the MC is a courtesan. So one thing that I noticed is that you have to sometimes remind ChatGPT because it's like it'll kind of start going down its own rabbit hole, and you have to pull it back and say, no, this is what we're doing. Um, let's get some women's names. Julia. So my fiance pointed out that one thing that a lot of Roman homes did was that they just gave the women the feminized version. So you see Julia, Flavia, Aurelia. Um, so they were very super uncreative when it came to women's names. Um, do. So we could do something like Aurelia Aurelius or Aurelia Flavius. I don't know. Let's see. So female names were often just feminine versions of house names. Are there any other kinds of names we can choose? Something more distinctive, maybe? Okay, it says yes, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is something that I happen to know already. So if you didn't know this, you could have asked that question, like, why are the names weird? Let's see, Sempronia. This was an uncommon given name associated with sister of Cato the Younger. Interesting. Tertulo, Cytheris, or Cytheris. I don't know if that would be Cytheris or Cytheris. Um, I want something that's not too difficult to say. So Cornelia, mother of the Gracchi brothers. So let's say like Cornelia Flavius or something, or Valerius. Cornelia Valerius. Um, would Cornelia Valerius be a legit name? Anything wrong with that? Father or husband? Okay. In the genitive case, it would be uh, Valerii. So I guess her name would be Cornelia Valerii or Cornelia of the Valerii. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So it's telling me what's wrong with it. For example, it's common for Roman names to be comprised of a given name, a clan name, and sometimes a cognomen, a nickname or additional surname. That's right. Um, um, so with the given name coming first, followed by the clan name, followed by the cognomen. Good. So I didn't even have to ask. It realized that I was struggling. Um, okay, help me understand what the genitive genitive case means. Um, Valerii looks plural. I'm lost. In Latin, the genitive case is used to indicate possession or ownership. In English, we use the possessive form of a noun. Genitive case is often indicated by, so it knows a lot about Latin. I've seen a lot of people, so while it's writing, I've seen a lot of people talking about how large language models don't have mental models of the world. And I completely disagree. This is explaining Latin to me. And it not only that, it intuited that I needed to learn Latin. So please explain to me how it's doing this without internal models. You can't. Trust me, I have a bookcase full of neuroscience over there. Okay, let me do a quick time check. We are at 35 minutes. We'll try and wrap this up pretty quick. Okay, great. Please summarize everything up to this point. Everything, let's say, everything about the story up to this point. You can ignore the sidebar conversations. Let's go ahead and, so for example, the genitive form is for first and second declension nouns like Valerius. I don't even, I'm not going to learn that much about Latin right now, but I guess I'm going to. Okay, here, it finally explained it. Cornelia Valerii. So Cornelia belonging to the Valerius clan. Got it. Let's go with this for now. Cornelia Valerii will figure out her cognomen later. Yeah. Please go ahead and summarize our story. The story is set during the height of the Roman Empire, a time of great prosperity and opportunity, but also a time of strict social hierarchy and rigid rules of behavior. The main character is Cornelia Valerii, a courtesan who was born into the powerful and wealthy patrician family, but has fallen on hard times due to betrayal and palace intrigue. Determined to regain her family's former status and protect them from further harm, she turns to courtesan work as a way to earn her living and support herself. She climbs the social ladder. Through her beauty, charm, and wit, she's able to blah, blah, blah. She ultimately must make a choice. It takes place during the Roman Emperor Trajan. She navigates the complex world. Okay, this is great. Please add the details we discussed about the fall of her family. Specifically, that they were participating in the grand public works, such as the aqueducts, and that betrayal was over that. Please incorporate that into your summary and add the date as well, 110 AD, when Cornelia was 12. So again, by asking it to restate things, it kind of says, okay, the document is written here. And I confused it again because it says, oh, it's set in 110 AD. Let's see. And the story is set a few years later as she comes into adulthood. Here's an updated summary of the story. The story is set in 110 AD. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to fight it. This is what I mean is like, okay, I could probably reword this, but like this is good enough. There we go. Yep, there we go. Okay. I really like this as a backstory because it gives her a very, very complex set of motivations and let's say baggage to work through. But yeah, I think we'll call this a day. I'm super pleased with this. And we will be back because I love doing this. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thanks for watching.